I'm a I'm a comedian generally. That's my deal. So not having a table here is like, first of all, not having a mic stand is gonna kill me. And so I just have to have a stool. This is my replacement stool. You're a great stool. I'm a trans woman. You can hear my voice. I don't smoke enough cigarettes during this voice. But I didn't know for a really long time. It was kind of a surprise to me. Like I had like a pretty regular boy childhood. Like I painted my nails once or twice, but like regular boy stuff. Those sips are never not going to be dramatic. I'm really sorry. It's just like the nature of the show. Everything's going to be weirdly tense, so I'm sorry about it. It works out in the end, but I'm going to warn you that things are not going to be super the whole way through. So anyway, we're going to skip forward. You don't need all that stuff. What you need to know is that around 2012, I was dating a girl named Allie, the second of 3 Allies I've dated. None of the Allies were super great about that fact. Especially because I like to refer to them by their number. I like it more because they don't like it. But anyway, Allie too introduced me to Tumblr, which is a terrible place. You shouldn't go there. It's awful. If you're not on Tumblr, it's just like sad gay Twitter. That joke landed. It's not super, but it is very gay. There's a lot of queers on there, and especially when I started on halcyon days of 2012, it was like just confused teens. Like that was the entire user base. It was just like 15-year-olds who had a lot of thinking to do, you know. So it was where I was exposed to like gender divergent people and queer people in a sort of non-standard media model. I'm from like a really small town. I'm from northern Wisconsin, which is not great. If you've never been, it's like Kentucky but with snow. So I had like a Will and Grace idea of queer people, and I'm not one of those queer people, so I didn't understand that I could be one. So anyway, in 2012 I started identifying as genderqueer, because in 2012 that was a thing you could do. And that was enough. I didn't really do it. It didn't mean anything. I didn't even use different pronouns. I just like wore skinnier jeans. But then in the fall of 2013, Allie the second broke up with me, and it was for the best. Neither of us were happy. I tend to respond to unhappiness with alcohol, so things didn't go great generally. So we broke up. It was fine. She disappeared overnight with all her stuff. It was not traumatic at all. So I just threw myself into my passions, comedy and marijuana. That's what I did. I smoked a lot of weed. And because Allie the second doesn't like weed, so I smoked all kinds of it. And then about 6 months later, I met a girl named Sarah Taylor, who was also a performer. She was a slam poet. I'm so sorry. When you date queer ladies, a slam poet ends up in there at some point. But she was the first like real queer person I dated. All of the Allies and all the people I dated previous were like kinda gays, you know. like barely gays, which are fine. I support you. I love you dearly, but you're different. But Sarah was like a real gay. She was like an 80-20 lesbian. And how that reads. It was great. She taught me about lesbian shit. She taught me how to roll my sleeves and taught me about sneakers and stuff. It was great. She gave me my first storytelling show. She put together a performance slam, and I told a story there. The first story I ever told. The story I've been telling since it happened when I was 15 about murdering a goose. It's not. Some other time. But she was perfect, and I did not love her. I don't know why, but we broke up. We only dated for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. I guess in lesbian time, that's like a year and a half. But she taught me a lot. She was the first gender studies major I dated. So we had a lot of gender conversations. And there was this refrain that I'd had in my head for a long time that I wasn't femme enough to be a trans woman. I know I look very femme now standing in front of you, but generally in my life that is not the case. Sarah reminded me that, is this dramatic? Can I crinkle this? Sarah always told me that there's no minimum femininity requirement to be a woman. You know? There's no gender police. Nobody's knocking down your door to make you prove your pronouns. So that was what did it. That was what broke me. Sometimes just like having people say obvious things to you is what you need to see obvious things, but that was when I figured out that I was trans. That I was weird trans. I'm still weird trans, but it was a process. But anyway, there's a big step, there's like a big gulf between holy shit, I'm a woman, and my name is Lexi. You know what I mean? And so Sarah and I broke up. We remained friends, as all good lesbians do. It's our way. The only way we make friends. Really. So I spent a few months in denial, as you do. I don't know how else you could do it. She made me understand myself in a way that broke my brain, and I couldn't deal with it. So I started dating straight girls. I'm really sorry about it. I'm really, really sorry. I'm ashamed to this day. But I knew it was my last chance. I had to go out with a bang. I'm so sorry about that joke. I'm so sorry I'm better than that. But I met this girl named Willow, who, despite her name, turned out to be straight. She was a perfect lesbian on paper, except the straight thing. Drove a Subaru, had a dog, loved camping, like all the boxes. I feel like you guys have different lesbian boxes than me, and that's fine. There's different categories of lesbian. There's like slam poet lesbians and hiker lesbians and like farmer's market lesbians. It's fine. You can have whatever boxes you want. We're all farmer's market lesbians. What was I saying? Oh, so I met this girl named Willow, and she was perfect. But we were definitely just Tinder fucking, like just you live in a town that is far away, and we occasionally just like hammer our parts together, and then we go home. That's it. So, but I had intentions on it being more because I'm an idiot. And because I wanted to see if I could make it work. I wanted to be a dude maybe once for a bit. And then I got strep throat. And I'm not saying that it was because I was bottling my denial and it manifested itself in my body falling apart. I'm not saying that's what happened. But I'm not saying that's not what happened. I'm also like not a big fan of going to the doctor. It's not that like I think doctors don't work. It's just that like I'm pretty sure my body will handle it most of the time. But it turns out you can't really handle strep throat. It's like a real medical intervention situation. So after like a week and a half, I couldn't like eat food anymore. So I went to the doctor and I was like, ah! And he was like, strep throat! He didn't even test me or anything. He was like, yeah, that's strep throat. That's all it. If you can see it in the mirror, definitely a problem. That's what But anyway, so he gives me, he does like standard, strep throat stuff. He gives me penicillin. And he gives me prednisone for the enormous swelling in my throat. Right. So then I decide I'm on the mend, right? The penicillin is working because it's a fucking miracle and modern medical science is amazing. So I decided I want to take this girl camping because I like her and that is what lesbians do when you like someone. That's what I do when I like someone. It's like, I don't know, can you handle me for like 36 hours straight? Let's find out. Probably not. The answer is no. But on that camping trip was when I found out that she was definitely straight. I'm sorry, it's getting graphic, you guys. But we're setting up the tent, and we start fooling around. We start making out in the half set up tent. I'm going down on her. I'm doing whatever stuff. We have all of our gear, and including the condoms, are still in the car, right? So she wants me to fuck her, which even before hormones, I'll say to you, I'm not great at. I don't want us. My dick is a disappointment to everyone who's involved with it, so I figure it's best not to. Don't offer. It's fine. It's not. It's the way. It's my life. But I didn't want to because I don't care about it. And she demanded it. She was steadfast. That's how I knew she was straight. I know that that's not like a cue for you guys because you don't try to secretly date a lot of queer women, but I've got a test. I worked it out. I dated secretly a lot of secret queer women for a long time. I've got a really good checklist. I promise you that was this one. But it did not mean that I was not in love with her. And I don't know why. Love is not an emotion that happens to me easily, and yet I was just head over heels smitten with this girl who definitely wanted very little to do with me. And I didn't realize until much later that it was precisely because she was straight. It was because I wanted to be the boyfriend that she wanted. I wanted to be her, maybe. I don't know. I was in love with the idea of the situation we had. And what was the loss that was devastating to me when she ended things between us was less her and more the possibility of the life I was giving up. I didn't think I was gonna cry through this whole thing, but I guess I was wrong. Cause like the thing that, yeah, it's definitely gonna happen. Wow, I did not prepare for this. I'm so sorry. The thing that nobody warns me about when you transition is that you have to let the person that you were go. You have to mourn the old person and all the possibilities that they might have had. And it sucks. It feels bad. But there's not another way to go through it. And I unfortunately poured it all into this girl who wasn't happy. So anyway, my prednisone runs out. I'm still battling this strep throat thing. I told you I was gonna bring it around. My prednisone runs out. Then the day that I run out of prednisone, I noticed like a little itchy rash on my wrists and my ankles. But it was also the same day that we came back from our camping trip, so I figured I maybe just rubbed in something. And then I woke up the next morning like a big itchy pink Kirby, I was like swollen and enormous. I mean, I'm big generally, but like I was swollen, like my fingers had like doubled in size. And I had a rash from literally like my scalp down to like the cuticles of my toenails. I was pretty sure I knew what was going on, but I went to the doctor and I was like, "Hey doc, is this what a drug allergy looks like?" And he was like, "Yep, that's drug allergy." I don't know if you've had a drug allergy. Don't. It feels real bad. The thing about allergies is, right, like your body's like reaction it like produces these chemicals to try and like isolate the allergen, right? And that's what produces that like itchy feeling. It's trying to like get that stuff isolated and out of your body, right? But the problem was the penicillin was in my blood. And I don't know if you've thought about all the places that your blood is, but it's all the places. And so like when your blood itches, which let's just all think about that thought, let that marinate in us for a second. When your blood itches, literally everything itches. Like your under your nails itches. Like the where your hair, the follicles of your hair itches, and it turns out inside your bones where your blood is made also itches. So I wouldn't wish a drug allergy on Donald fucking Trump. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's horrible. I couldn't do anything for a full week. I couldn't even sleep. Even though I had like taped mittens on my hands, I would fall asleep and I would wake myself up like 20 minutes later, like furiously rubbing with the mitts, and the pain of all the itching would wake me up. So I did what I do in times like this, and I smoked a lot of weed. And I'm not proud of it, but it was literally the only way to sleep. And I can't explain to you how maddening it is to not sleep and to be itchy everywhere all the time. It like eats away at you. So I took a full week off of work. I literally did nothing but smoke weed and watch cartoons. Like I would smoke a giant bowl and I would pass out for 20 minutes, 20 restless, itchy minutes, I would wake up scratching, and then I would repeat the whole process. It was not great. I had a whole series of ice packs for like cooling various parts of my body. I had like 12 different ice packs of like varying sizes. It was not great. Don't do this whole story has just been a PSA to tell you to like allergies because it sucks. But I got better. There's a light at the end of the I got better. But around the same time I was trying to move out of my apartment. I was still living in the same place that Allie 2 and I had rented together. And I hated it. It was full of all her stuff. It was full of all the art she hung, and it was haunted, and I hated it. So they were showing my apartment, and a couple weeks earlier, as the end of the itchiness had happened, I did what I do, and I went to a comedy show to make myself feel better, to lighten my life, to try and make light of this horrible fucking trauma that was happening. And on my way back from that comedy show, I had smelled smoke in the cabin of my car. And then I pulled my car over and saw smoke pouring from the hood of my car. And I did what I learned later is the thing you're not supposed to do when your car is smoking. Another PSA, don't do this. Your car is smoking. Don't open the hood up and take a look at exactly what's going on with that fire, because you just introduced a bunch of extra air into that fire. So my car started on fire, right? And so let's back up. Let's just like list. Let's go in order. Breakup. I'm trans. Breakup. Strep throat. Drug allergy. We're cool so far? Car fire. So, in terms of, like, move on with your life symbols, if you're looking for something, I do recommend seeing The Most Expensive Thing You Own Destroyed in Flames. It's good. Like, in terms of catharsis, it's good. It feels bad at the time. I gotta say, watching The Most Expensive Thing You Own Destroyed by Fire feels bad at the time. It feels worse because when the fire department shows up, they're like, oh yeah, car fire? Pfft, whatever, don't worry about it, let's hang out over here, it might explode. I feel like the fire department should just hire like one guy who was also freaking out. He's just like, this sucks, you're right, it's on fire, oh my god! He's that guy. You're too calm, fire department. I know you're trying to make the situation better, and it is making it worse. So, car fire. So anyway, because of the car fire, when they were showing my apartment, I couldn't go anywhere. This is rural Wisconsin where you have to drive everywhere. So literally the only place I could go was like the bar up the street from my apartment. Because in Wisconsin, every apartment is required to be within a certain distance of a bar. And then if you don't check in at your local bar regularly, they like send out a search party. So I went to my local bar, my favorite Stevens Point bar, and I ate a bunch of their delicious food, and I drank roughly 6 beers. In probably 90 minutes, which is like not the most beers I've ever drunk, but like the most I've ever drunk without like jamming a key in one and screaming woo, you know? So and also just like by myself at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. So I drank just like an amazing amount of beer. And also not like crappy like water beer, like this was a craft beer bar, so I was drinking like mean, dark IPAs and stouts and shit. It was a bad scene. And I drank a bunch of them. And then I remember wandering bleary onto the street and thinking like, wow, I must have eaten too much food. I feel not great. Every single time I get sick from alcohol, I think, what did I eat? So I threw up all over the street at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. There's like a window of time where you're allowed to throw up on the street. You know what I mean? There's a dark between like 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. where you're solid. You're great. You're just a part of the environment. I was a health hazard. You know what I mean? So I got myself a therapist. That's what happened at the end of this story. I got myself a fucking therapist. Yeah. I've managed to find the only queer-focused therapist in all of central Wisconsin. It was quite the needle in a haystack. Like, I guess if the haystack was like systematically designed to oppress the needles, then. So I found this therapist, and I gave her like a list. I was like, here's the thing, I'm trans and I've been dealing with it badly. So she got me on hormones. Like a month later, I started hormones, January 25th of 2015. After that, I felt like immediately better. Like, estrogen takes a long time to work. I don't think it changed my body at all for the first year, probably. But, here's the crying again. But, like a month after I started taking it, my brain felt better. It was like this fog was gone. Like if you're a glasses wearer, sometimes you'll go through the whole day and not realize how cruddy your glasses are. And you get home and you clean them and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't been seeing things all day. It was like that, but with my life. And I just like, foods tasted better and the air was cleaner and I couldn't explain it, and it was the coolest thing I've ever felt. And then shortly after that, so I started hormones in January. I'm bad at keeping secrets. You should not ever tell me you're hot goss. I will tell everyone. I have teacher syndrome. I just love telling people stuff. So anything you tell me is going to get spouted out, like in probably the next 48 hours. So I was kind of an open secret for a while. I like dyed my hair pink, and I did this like weird side cut and stuff. I was not hiding anymore, but I wasn't out. But I did come out to my mom, because at the time my mom and I were really close. And she didn't take it great. My parents are both pretty religious. I kind of figured it wouldn't go great. But she was fine. She was, I love you, I support whatever you choose, whatever. Classic mom stuff. But then she told our entire family. Dick move. Real dick move. Not great. I wasn't ready. I needed time. Even though despite the pink hair and the eyeliner and everything I was doing badly, it felt bad. And then it turned out a few months later, that my mother became very religious and started getting messages from the Lord. It's a whole thing. I'll tell a whole nother story about my mom some other time. Every time I do one of these, I write like 6 other stories about what am I into. Anyway. So, the spring of that year, 2015, I meet a person on Tumblr. I met another queer on Tumblr who happened to also live in Wisconsin. He was around my age, and very androgynous and adorable. And we started dating that summer. And very quickly, a couple months in, we talked about how much we hated Wisconsin and how badly we had to get out. And so in 2016, we left. We'd been dating 8 months at the time. We packed up all our stuff in my tiny Ford Fiesta. We camped out of that car for a month. Between Wisconsin and through Colorado and California and Washington. And it was spectacular. Because no one can misgender you in the wilderness. That's the spectacular thing about camping. And then, yeah, I struggled for a long time with how to end this story because it doesn't have a good ending. I got through the stuff and I am who I am, and there was a lot more once I got to Seattle, like do I end with finding a home in a supportive workplace that lets me be the weirdo I've always wanted to be? Maybe. Do I talk about meeting other femme lesbians and learning about the great spectrum of queers in the world? Maybe. I don't know. There isn't a good ending. Because it turns out, I'm not done. The exhausting thing about being trans is you don't get to be done. All right, thanks so much.